Here we are, day 4, Junk Journal January 2025 outline. And that's what we're going for. And this was my start. My base page is the back of that Eco Guide page. So I'm going to work on that. I've pulled some stuff. Well, actually, I've pulled one piece of paper out of my stash of 90 million. So this will be exciting that I'm using one actual piece of paper. This was a gel press print on, it's on deli paper. And I thought, these are outlines, right? So that's really good. Realize I didn't do my nails. Gonna have to deal with chip nails today, people. Okay, and I've also pulled out, so we have a lot of snow here today, which is kind of exciting. And I'm tempted to put a photo. I do like putting photos throughout my book every once in a while. I think I have some, well, here's a bunch of photos. This was a bunch of pictures of album covers. So I do like throwing in the occasional photo. I think it's a really good way of documenting what's going on. So I want to put a picture of the snow, but I'm thinking I'm going to glue that down. And then, dang it, if I didn't see the Tim Holtz video today, the shockwave felt around the crafting world, no doubt, that he will no longer be designing product. He's still going to be in the industry. He's still going to be demoing and potentially teaching is what I see, my prediction. But he is not, after 20 years of product design, he's no longer doing it. So let me talk first about the products and then I'll chat as we build this because I have thoughts. I'm going to use the Sizzix. So I'm using a lot of Tim Holtz products as a result today. This is Sizzix Snowflakes. And I'm just showing you. I'm not on design teams anymore. I'm not doing any of this stuff, but I know people want to know a lot of times. So I'm only doing it for you. If you want to use this, use what you have. Use what you have in your stash. But, here you go. 665582 is this funky, I love these snowflakes. They're my favorite. I use them all. When I have snowflake stuff, I use these. And all my other 90 million snowflakes that I own sit in a box. I'm going to use, so with those, I'm going to use the metallic, and there's going to be a lot of glare, but I don't have the cover of this. But this, again, is Tim Holtz Ideology, and it comes in gold and silver sheets. I use these a lot. These are great for exactly what we're going to be using them for today, which is the snowflake cutouts. And then I'm also using the backdrops, Tim Holtz backdrops. I'm not even sure if this is the one that, I think it is actually. Yeah, it is. Oh, you lucked out because I have all of them and I just grabbed one randomly and I believe, oh, I don't know. I don't know if this is in here, but you can look and check and you probably own them anyway if you do. So this is backdrops and basically they are, I want to say they're 6 by 10 inches, 6 inches by 10 inches. And they come with, they're double-sided, which is really hard for those of us who want to use both sides. You have to buy 2. Yes, you do, because, oh no, there's 2. 24 double-sided, 24. No, I think there's only one of each. Anywho, and then I'm using the original Umbrella Man, which Umbrella Man is one of the images that made me fall in love with Tim Holtz products and, Tim in general, all things Tim back in the day. And I've done so much with him over the years. In fact, the first class I ever taught, I'm going to go get it, had Umbrella Man. This is the first class I ever taught because I'm insane. I did all the things. I mean, this class was crazy. Students loved it. Let's see if I can back up a bit. You see my messy desk. Students loved it. However, oh my gosh, it was insane. Let's do all the products, all the things I know how to do in my very first teaching class ever. And here we go. Here's Umbrella Man. And it was just filled with, of course, I haven't put photos. It was just filled with stuff, filled with Tim Holtz products. Oh, remember this heart crackle paste. I mean, it's amazing when I look back. And so basically, I was never on Tim's design team. I've met him a number of times. I did tell him I loved him once, so there's that. That's a whole story, but in a creative way, of course. And I've taken many of his classes, and he's just a fabulous person and one of my favorite human beings in the world. And yeah, so gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot. So let's get started, and while we're doing this, I'll chat about it. Righto, I'm going to start by just... I guess I should trim this first because it's a little long and it's hard with the tickets behind. I'm just going to leave the tickets for now. I have no plans to move the tickets or deal with the tickets. I'm just going to leave them. So I'm going to just come along with a ruler. And I'm going to tear this the art journal fashion, not too concerned about how it looks. All right, so I've got some collage medium in matte, and I'm just going to, and this fun little collage brush. Again, just assume that everything today is Tim Holtz products, and we'll go from there. Just put a nice little layer of that. And then that has to go in water right away, of course, to prevent it from... Of course, I put that on crooked. And I do want to make sure, number one, there's glue everywhere. And number two, that, push it down because it'll otherwise get air bubbles. Like here, I've got some air bubbles. So, and... doesn't really matter, but the challenge with air bubbles is as you're working, it can cause your paper to rip or tear. So there's that. The reason why I like working with deli paper is it's a little bit translucent. So I'm seeing some of the background come through. It's not super translucent, but there's a little bit of translucency. And it's a nice texture. It just adds that extra bit of fun. Okay. Don't really need to wait for that to dry. I do need to put this in water though. And usually I just wash those right away with soap. The thing about glue on your brushes, it will pull the bristles. So I always take them and wash them with soap. So here's my thought. I want Umbrella Man here. It's not as dark as I thought, but then the prompt is outline. So of course, I'm gonna pummel that prompt as much as I can. I guess it would have made more sense. I might recut this and put him this way. So the umbrella, I purposefully did it that way. That's okay, because then I'll have a backup Umbrella Man. So I'm gonna recut that and put him this way. And then I have outlined, these are outlines, the little snowflakes. So I'm just going to add those and we'll go from there. So my snowflakes, because this is kind of a heavier material, it's harder to cut out necessarily. So I do have a few things that need to be poked. So if that happens when you're die cutting with your thin die cuts, have no fear. You just get, look how fun that is, a pokey hole tool of some kind. And I guess I should use my other one. Just a minute. Okay. I've literally gone through a zillion of these because I sometimes do demos or teach and I don't necessarily get them back, which is very, very frustrating. So this is, and I did a bunch. We'll see which ones I want to use, but I'm just going to go through and pokey hole them. Yeah, so it's kind of the sad part about teaching sometimes is their 5-finger discount is in evidence in a lot of times in a lot of classes. And I think sometimes when you demo at a show, people assume that you can just afford to lose your tools. And either way, hello, it's stealing. But I don't know. I think people justify it thinking the big companies can afford it. Well, guess what? I'm not a big company. I'm a tiny little nothing company, and I can't afford to lose my tools. So keep that in mind if you're one of those people that thinks that the tools, I know it's kind of negative, but again, maybe on the benefit of all the teachers out there. I have friends who stopped teaching because they were so tired of losing their product. A lot of times if you're at a big show and people are demoing, they don't demo for money. Some of these companies, you're demoing for product. And then, so you get to keep the product or you get paid in product or whatever. And the challenge with that is that if you're taking the product from the demo table, you're taking the money out of that demonstrator's pocket. So again, even if you're thinking, well, it's a big company, they can afford it, it doesn't matter. Just don't do it. Leave it there. Leave it. Enjoy the lesson. Enjoy the teaching. And remember that this is a fun thing to do. We all love each other. So So it's been hours. I'll tell you the story while I work on this. But for now, I'm just going to keep on going. Okay, so I got my background. It's really funny. I was looking at the video and I realized through the video, it shows a very different picture than your eye necessarily, that this guy actually shows up way better than this guy. And now that I have a light on because it's evening, I realize that this is the better choice. But I thought it might be fun to, instead of just putting him blank like that, I might stamp him up. And I also found this little scrap of paper, and it's from another one. It was just in my pile, my stash. And I want to give him something to stand on. So I thought it might be fun to put that. This way is better. I mean, again, we don't need to be too literal, right? Maybe with the figure 2. So he has a base to stand on. And so I think I'm going to do that. But first I'm going to stamp him. Well, actually, let me attach this and then I'll stamp him. I'm just going to tear it. And we'll go. And I will glue that down. Yes, so my daughter is visiting with friends in Quebec and hit a pothole, which Montreal's notorious for potholes. Blew out her tire. And the thing of it is, in Quebec, they have winter tires. It's the law. You have to have winter tires in the winter because obviously they have way more snow, can create dangerous situation, all that good stuff. So you would think, oh, well, we'll just go get a new tire because the tire's shot. Well, guess what? Not so easy when people order their winter tires ahead of time and whatnot. And she has all seasons. We don't need winter tires. So hours in a panic trying to help her out. The CAA were very good. So I did not know that. Here's a hot tip for you Americans. Your American Auto Association card, there's a reciprocal agreement between Canada and the U.S. So the only thing was she had to call the U.S. and have them book the appointment, I guess, for her because the number's not recognized. And then once they got there, everything was cool. So that's really good to know. All right, I'm going to use this stamp. This is a new one. Mr. Holtz's. I love this stamp. I don't think I've used it yet. Look at that, though. Let me see if I take this. There'll be less glitter, maybe. Look at that. Look at all the freaking images on that. It's so cool. So what I'm going to do, though, I'll put a piece of paper down. I'm going to put it this way. And then I'm just going to stamp whatever I get kind of deal. And I think I am going to do it in black just because I don't know, should I do it in black or should I do it in multiple colors? I mean, I kind of want it to show up, but at the same time, you know what? Why don't we do it in multiple colors? I'll pull these out. That might be fun. That might be fun. How about some brown? It might be too much though, because there is a lot of color. You know what? I'm just going to do it in, I'm not going to do that. I think because there's a lot of color already going on, I'm just going to do it in black. So, and I'm just going to, again, I haven't used this stamp before. I'm using black soot. And it's not very juicy because I've had it for a while. It needs to be re-inked. But I'm kind of going with the whatever I get is what I get kind of deal. And I think what I'll do is I'll just, of course, now I'm being fussy about the images, which means I have to probably redo this again. Okay, I'm not going to be fussy. I'm just going to put it down. And I'm going to stamp it this way, I think is better. And again, mixed media. I should use a brayer, or I could even have done this, would be easier. Stamp block. This could be a mess. This could be a mess. Oh, yeah. So cool. So, so cool. Look at that. Not a mess. Very cool, in fact. Oh, I love that. And this is why we do this right here. I'll clean that later. That is freaking awesome. I love that. I absolutely love that. That just makes me happy. So yeah, so anyway, and then I am going to outline it, so that will help with probably some kind of distress shenanigans. Yeah, so a lot of my time I was helping them out, trying to find a tire and calling multiple car dealer or tire places, because of course you don't think of this, but the tire size is a bit different in the US because they need bigger tires for the winter to deal with the winter and all that good stuff. And it was very tricky. It was super tricky to find one for many reasons, for many of those reasons. Also, just deadline. It was 3:30 when all this happened, and the garages all close at 5. Or the service part of the garages, right, close at 5. So the other issue was, you know, they're on holiday. They don't want to, her and her friends don't want to spend 3 days waiting for a tire. They're not old enough to rent a car, which that's annoying. So all in all, I had my watch, I have a stress thing on my watch, and it was freaking out at me. And I was like, I don't have time to deal with you. I know I'm stressed. I don't have time. I got to help them find somewhere, find a tire. They're leaving and they're going to Ottawa tomorrow. And it's like, they have to be on the road and they can't do it on a donut. So again, I learned way too much about tires today. But it was, you know, I always look at this kind of thing, especially younger people traveling, it's going to happen. This is the kind of thing that happens, and it's good to learn, you know, lots of learning lessons, how to call the service people, how to get them to come, how to put your car in a safe place, like all the things. Learned all the things in the middle of winter, freezing their buttocks off in Quebec, you know, and that's another good point. You take it for granted, depending on where you live, that what happens if we're stuck waiting for a tow truck or a, you know. So all the things I preach all the time may have been given some weight today as a mom. I was like, oh yeah, mom might be onto something with that. Make sure you have blankets in the car in case. Make sure you have a good jacket, you know, make sure you have all the things, the mom things. Oh my goodness, this doesn't want to stick. It's hard because it's wonky from all this stuff. So it doesn't really want to stick down. But there, I think that's good enough. And, you know, we can always add a couple of staples in there or whatever. All right, so I've got that. And then I'm just going to put my little snowflakes. I'm very tempted to put a bread, but I'm not going to because these are so cute. Just cannot stand how fun these are. I think 3. And then maybe some kind of words right there. But you know what? Let's just do the outline first because I don't want to muck up my snowflakes putting the outline. So I'm going to pull out my Distress watercolor pencils. Tempted, it's between these or the crayons. But the thing I like about these is they've got a sharper point, so they're a little easier to manipulate. I keep mine in a dairy-free sorbetta container, so they're right beside me. I wasn't using them because they were in the pretty tins, and I love the tins, and they're great, but I wasn't using them. And I have to say, now that they sit right beside me, Uncharted Mariner, one of my favorite colors, that'll work. Now they sit right beside me on my desk. I pull them out all the time. And I know that's the thing, right? If you don't see them, you don't use them. So yes, note to travelers, Montreal's a really great place to go visit. I personally would not go in January. I lived there. I would not visit in January because it's freaking cold. But my daughter and her friends thought it would be a grand adventure to go freeze their butts off in Montreal. And, but yeah, traveling, it's still considered international, even though it's pretty close to home. And things happen. Be prepared. So good to know. CAA and AAA work together. How nice, too. How considerate of them. Because they don't have to. The guy was fast. He was there in 20 minutes, which that was great. So this is this post is an unpaid sponsorship for CAA and AAA. Go team. So then I'm just going to activate this a little with some water, and that will help it pop. Now this can also, sometimes when you do this, it can, you know, it's a pigment. So you're wetting the pigment, you're kind of melting the pigment a bit. And so you can sometimes lose some of the color. And then all I do for that is you just go directly from the tip. Or I guess you can come back in here. Either one. That's better. I want it to be messy. I'm so happy to be playing with. It's been a long time since I've really done a lot of or any. I'm going to fill that in. Mixed media stuff, inky stuff. It was my jam for so long. I like it being sketchy. All right. We'll see. This might not end up being my favorite page in the world, but you know what? They can't always, every page cannot be your favorite. Now this is Trixie. Because I think what I'm going to do, I'll show you. No, I don't want to get this on camera. I just put some glue and then drag my snowflakes through it. And I could use I guess it would be better to use the collage medium. This glue's a little stronger though. One of the tricky things, and it dries clear, one of the tricky things is because it's waxy, right? And acrylic paint. I think that's one of the reasons why it's not loving this, is that I'm gluing down on acrylic, and it's just yelling, no, we don't want to go. And I do probably want to put a little bit of some words. Oh yeah, I like that better. I know you can hardly see the contrast in the silver. That's okay. I should be sitting here. I started out talking about Tim. He's just been a great influence on my art, my career. Again, super nice guy. And great, him and Mario, great team. Works with great people. And I was, just super lucky to have met him and been in a couple of classes and been encouraged by him. And all those great things. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of everything, because the man's a genius. He's just a creative genius. That's all there is to it. He just is. Kind of like that too. Maybe I'll just put that on there for fun. So next up, I put some words, and I used Clipping Sticker Book. And this is just a bunch of quotes and sayings and words, and then you put them together. They're from books, and you put them together, like that's why they're called clippings, I guess, to make whatever you want. And so I found this tag in my stash. It's very shimmery. It already had ink on it, so that was highly convenient. And I just put across the light snow, lit by only the moon, the light of hope. And I love that quote. And it's going to go right there. I just want to show you what I'm crafting with right now. Like, I have this little one on my lap. So I'm literally crafting one-handed. But again, my daughter's not here. She's so needy today. She just needs love. And she's a sweetie pie. And so what are you going to do? These are the challenges I'm crafting with. And other things. Okay, so the only thing is now, I feel like the snowflakes are they're not bright enough. They look bright on the camera because of the light on them, but they really aren't, because the light is, again, you're not looking at this book with a ton of light necessarily. So the snowflakes are very muted. So what I have to decide is if I want to do something to make them pop a little more. I don't want to outline them. And I need a ribbon for this. So 1 second. Okay, I've got 2 luster wax by Sizzix. And what I'm going to try and do is just scuff the edges a bit just to give them a little more oomph. So I've got one in copper. I don't think that's what it's called. Rose gold, but it's a very coppery color. And it's my favorite. And then charcoal. And charcoal is sort of a silvery... It's charcoal. It looks like charcoal. It's a little bit lighter, but it's got a silver tint to it. And this is this. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to try charcoal for starters. And then all I have is a little piece of kids foam. And just to show you what this looks like, that's what it does. I love this stuff. I know I'm going to use it at some point on an embossing surface because I'm addicted to it, essentially. So let's see what happens. And the beauty of this, if I don't like this color and it doesn't work for me, I can just switch and the colors will go on top of each other. I hope. At least that's what I'm thinking. And that's just sort of, I don't know. Not really doing a whole heck of a lot. Let's try the copper. Yeah, copper, baby. Copper. And I'm just going to scuff it up a bit. So you still have the silver. And again, just doing another outline, another type of outlining. Because again, if I can't beat the theme into submission, then, you know, what's the point? I already know this is not going to be my favorite page I've ever done, but it's okay. So that's a bit better. It's messier, that's for sure. And, you know, worst comes to worst, I cut them out in black and slap them on top. And then they'll show up. But I was trying to do silver for the snow because, you know, being a little literal here. Now apparently what I'm doing is copper because, you know, copper snowflakes, why not? It's what we've got to work with. All right. Interesting story. I woke up this morning and I hate it. I don't hate it. There's parts of it I love. I love the Umbrella Man. I'm just not a fan. So I'm going rogue. And I grabbed some Dina Wakley acrylic paint night. I thought about doing black, but I'm trying to stick within sort of a snowy theme. And what I'm going to do, I just don't like that this does not pop. These don't pop. It's just too flat. So what I'm going to do, and this might wreck the whole thing, and I might just have to, I don't know. I'm going to do a bit of an outline. I'm just trying to, I don't know what I'm doing. Just one of those things that it's just not working for me. Just not working. And I just hope I don't lose Umbrella Man in the process. So you know what actually I should do first, which would be smart, is to just put a thin layer of collage medium on top, and then that'll protect the image. So I'm just going to, because what it has happened, I'm going to add, you can see here it's become tinted. So the archival ink is permanent, so it'll stay, but this is a dark color. And if I get too much, you know, on my image, I'm going to lose, it's going to tint it. It's not going to go like, I don't know if you can see, but anyway, this is what I'm doing. You know, this sometimes happens, right? We're going along merrily and then not. So I'll let that dry for a second. The other thing I'm going to do, it's just not popping off the page at all. It's too blended is what I don't like about it. I feel like I spent enough time working on this one that I am going to try and salvage it, or at least make it something that I like, right? So I figure I can put white. Look at the difference just with the white. And again, here's what's crazy. If I look through my phone, there's contrast because the camera light or the ring light highlights the silver. So you're seeing contrast. When I look at it with my eye, no contrast whatsoever. So I'm going with, you know, obviously when I look at this, back at this book, I don't get to look at it through a camera. So I'm just going to do this and, you know, stick around for the ride and see what happens. Or run for the hills, you know. I do want to say I woke up to the most pleasant surprise today. I went to my YouTube channel to upload the next video. And oh my goodness, 900 views on my last video on, I guess it was day 1 and 2. I was just absolutely shocked. I had no idea, did not see that coming. So I just want to thank everybody who took the time. And I got a bunch of new subscribers, and I just so appreciate. I appreciate that. There was a lot yesterday. Again, my daughter's traveling, blew out a tire. You know, I was dealing with the stress of all that stuff. And so to come out and see all the love on the video and whatnot. I just so appreciate it. So yeah. So this is just turning into a nice hot mess, but now I'm tempted to just cover the whole thing. All right, I'm doing it. I'm covering it. And part of the reason why I'm covering it is, so we went out last night, my husband and I, like a bunch of new-news, and we went and we shoveled snow at 11:30 at night or 11 something at night. And it was very dark and gloomy and quiet. It was so nice and quiet. And it was dark, and it was all you could see was the light, you know, the snow reflecting from the moon and all that good stuff. So I think I'm kind of channeling that again. But you see how well this is working? It just takes off any of the color really well that gets on there. I don't mind the stem. Okay, this is good. You gotta love creating. Again, right? I'm doing this to relax. Well, those snowflakes now pop if that was ever in doubt. And then, I don't know, I might just be tone, you know. I was thinking, oh, I could splatter snow. I don't know. We'll see. And then that'll be good. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So I guess I'm just going to, you know what I think I'm going to do with these? Instead of gluing the whole thing down, I'm just going to glue, I'll let them free form a little bit. Oh, you know, I also wanted to add some, yeah, I'm going to let those just, and then that way you can still kind of see the silvery bits underneath a little. So the good news is we did find a tire. She had to drive 30 minutes. She just texted me that they've, you know, he was so great. He had to go pick up a tire from a warehouse. Her appointment was at 10 a.m. and they took them an hour. They put the tire on. And I'm hoping, I'm not going to give a shout out till I find out it works, because you never know. Just want to make sure she drives off and there's not some kind of, just fingers crossed it works out, because yeah, that was stressful. All right. Again, this is definitely not going to be my favorite page. Sorry, Tim. Sorry, my ode to Tim. It's kind of a hot mess, but that's okay. As he says, you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit. Or you don't make a fuss, I think is what he says. All right. I do like it better, but it's definitely not going to be my favorite page. So I am going to, I've got a piece of this little ribbon and I just cut a couple of V's out of it. This is I call it my lazy way, because I don't have to tie a knot. But I like it. I like using the big ribbons. This is a wire ribbon. I'm sure there's a fancy name for it. It's kind of a, I don't know, tulle. I don't know what that material is called. Translucent stuff. But you do that, and even though it's a big ribbon, isn't that fun? Okay, and I'm gonna bring back my trusty V-ball, and I think I'll just sketch this up a bit. Oh yes, I like that. See how fun. Boom, right there. It's going to go right there. So design principle, it's fun to connect, right? I'm going to have him have the tag sort of on Umbrella Man's leg a little bit. Or we'll see. Because I also like the idea of the ribbon hanging off the edge. No, I'm going to do it this way. Just just connecting onto his leg. I like the snowflakes a lot better. And there's only one thing I might do. You know, I keep on losing my little, I lost it last night. I found it this morning. Oh my gosh. Hot mess alert. So I put a dab of white paint and I'm going to practice my flicking because I haven't done it in quite a long time. Of course, I have the Tim Holtz flicky tool to do this and no idea where that is. So I'm just going to use a paintbrush. You want it to be fairly wet. There you go. And then you just flick. You can use a toothbrush, you can use, but that's exactly the effect I want. I don't have to cover up Umbrella Man because I can, you know, I can, yeah. I can just wipe him off because of the acrylic or because of the glaze or collage medium. Use your words. There we go. That's what that needed. And then I can just come in here and although technically he'd have snow on his umbrella. We can have some snow on the umbrella. So that's cool. And I am tempted to put a little bit of stickles to shimmer that up. Stickles or some kind of shimmery something. So I grabbed stickles in Stardust, and this is kind of the effect I'm gonna get. And I'm just gonna add some, again, not being extremely careful, just sort of. And while I do this, I'm gonna take a deep breath of dealing with the stress. This is not a stressful thing. This is a fun thing. I think sometimes having been a designer, you have to remind yourself, this is fun, damn it. But it is fun. So you get the idea. Okay. Now I like that page a lot better. And I'm pretty sure that does not need, I was thinking a snowflake Brad, but that'll be too much. So I'm just gonna, I know, I can't believe I said that. It's gonna be too much. Just because there's 3 snowflakes, and if you know, when we art, you like to have 3, 5 odd numbers. And if I put another snowflake, it's an even number. The eye doesn't like that as much. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue to glue that down. That's it. All right, so you get the gist of it. I'm gonna finish the snowflakes and then let that dry, but that's it for today. Was meant to be a fast video. It wasn't as fast. And I don't know, maybe it's just a lesson in, I don't love this page. It's okay. It's a lot better now than when I started it, but it's definitely not going to go down as one of my favorites. But I had fun. I did have fun. And there's aspects of it I like. I really like that. I like that shimmers. I like that actually the copper behind the snowflakes looks very cool. I don't know if you can see that. So again, don't love it, but calling her done. Calling her done. This will flatten out as the book gets, you know, squished and used. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope you have an awesome day. Again, thanks so much for everybody that left a comment and subscribed. It's just awesome. This is such a great community, and let's do some more art.